Good morning, friends. How are you this morning? Good morning to you. I hope you're well and good and whole. We are out here in the Ward Garden this morning. Preview of the beauty of this place out here in the garden. Hello. Hey, Allison. Good morning to you. Glad you're well. It's good to see your digital face. Hope you're doing all right on this beautiful day. So, all right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to get going this morning. It is the 22nd day of August. These last days of August on this Thursday at 11:11, and I'm glad you're here and glad you're a part of this journey, and that wherever you may find yourself, that it is good and true and wonderful. When at the resurrection, when Jesus comes to visit his disciples, and for the first time, he gives them a particular phrase that he offers them, and he offers them this. He says, "My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you." And so there is this notion of giving and leaving peace. I give it to you and I leave it with you. And we think like, oh, that's great. We can have confidence that, God's got this. We can relax into these things maybe a little bit. But I would submit to you that what Jesus is talking about is actually way deeper, way more elaborate, and actually into the very fabric of the being of creation. You see, God comes into the world and as the creator first. God speaks the world into being, that the days of creation unfold, and that the creation is looked at and he says, it is good. And at the resurrection, Jesus says, "My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you." And that in the creation, in this createdness, and so it's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you this morning to the garden here. And this is I think it's one of the more peaceful places in the city that you can find yourself, in this space, surrounded by greenery and beauty, and beautiful architecture, and sunlight and joy. And there's a bit of peace here. There really is in this place, and that what Jesus is saying is that when he at the resurrection is this invitation to have these places of peace within us. It's not just that we kind of go to these external places, but my peace I give to you, and my peace I leave with you. God's peace is left with us. And it's good. It's in the midst of the creation, in the beauty of the creation and the way in which it's held, but it's also implanted within our being. Now, a lot of us are moving through the world today, or a lot of us are a part of the days, if we're looking at our phones or we're looking at the world, and we realize maybe we're not finding a whole lot of peace at all. Maybe all we see is acrimony and meanness. Maybe all we're seeing is we don't know what's going to happen next. There's uncertainty, there's anxiety, there's wondering about where we're going to go and what we're going to do. My suggestion to you is to, and I think Jesus' invitation to us in this hour is to look for the peace that dwells within us. There is a peace within you. Now, you might not think it. You might think like, maybe if you're like me, you're like squirrel. Like what's going on? Like you're maybe consistently distracted. You may be consistently drawn off course. You may be filled with anxiety or with doubt, or maybe you're filled with grief and pain and worry. But whatever it is that's a part of that, that doesn't mitigate the fact that there's peace available to you. And I just, that the whole goal of coming together today in this place is to remind you that as we look at the creation, both manicured well and cared for, but we also look at our created, the things that we as humans create, the things that we can build that are true and good and beautiful, that the stuff we can put our hands to, that there's an order to that, right? There's a way in which these trees don't just all of a sudden sprout, dog legs. Like, there's no, they don't all of a sudden sprout, the fenders to a 64 Chevy. They have a particular order in which in fact, there's a name for the order in which the way in which these evergreens come together. They're called a fractal order, and that they have actually a mathematical precision to them. That we can look at a tree and you can say, oh, well, it's just, or we can look at the natural world, or we can look at the beauty of the symmetry of these windows, or we can look at anything that calls to us in true and good and beauty, and we can say that there is peace in it because it is rightly ordered. Well, friends, you're made that way too. And I know that's not a feeling state. That order has been placed within you. That is the resurrection of Jesus Christ in the world. That is the fact that God came into this world, made right, showed us, and not just showed us what it is to be in order, but actually laid that order down so that it is present in this world, and then gave it to us and left it to us. And we can call upon His name. We can pray. This is the function of all the disciplines of the church that has ever lived up. We can meditate. We can read scripture. We can do all the things. The whole point and the function of all of those things that you were told to do as as disciplines. The whole function of those was simply this: that you might be able to know the peace of these things. There's peace in you, friends. You may not feel it. You may not be able to find it in this hour, but it is there and it exists. It exists in the very fabric of how you are made. Before I started this live stream, I had a donut. It was an apple cider donut. It was awesome. I love it. This is like my kryptonite season with apple cider donuts. An apple cider donut. And I put that in my mouth and it was glorious. And then I ate it and it went down my little gullet, and somewhere inside of me, there's all sorts of things going on to make it give me energy and make it become a part of me. I don't have to tell any of that to happen. I don't have to tell that donut, I don't tell my stomach acid to say, hey, turn on now and digest that donut. I don't have to tell my esophagus how to move it down my throat. I have to tell my teeth how to chomp so that the donut becomes a part of me. I don't have to tell my bacteria how to go to work on that donut and break it down so that it can be received into my body. I don't have to tell the glucose and the fats and all the beautiful, glorious, delicious things that are a part of that donut how to become. They just do. And when it's in right order, and when I'm doing things and probably eating things that aren't donuts, it actually brings peace and brings order. It puts hunger at bay. It brings goodness. Do you see what I'm saying? This whole natural world, this whole way in which your physical world is wired, but so too is your soul, made for order. That Jesus says, I give you peace, and I leave the peace with you. And now why? And I'll leave us here today. Why peace? Why not courage? Why not joy? Why not goodness? Why not the ability to tap dance? Why not anything that we could imagine? Why peace? Because it is my contention, and I think you can biblically back this up in the spiritual world, that it is peace that is, in fact, the foundational qualities of heaven. That is one of the foundational qualities of heaven in this world is peace. Now, peace does not mean inactivity. We have been sold a bill of good. You see what I've already said today. I just want to make sure you don't hear what I'm not saying. What we think we've heard today is that we have to be at peace. So if we just don't move anything, if we just don't touch anything, if we just don't, don't make anybody mad when we walk into the room, somehow that's peace. No, that's death. The homeostasis in a relationship is death. Relationships are always changing. Relationships are always moving. Relationships are always... That's not peace, that's death. But what is peace is this growing in the order of Christ Jesus, growing in the order of the way in which things were made, for a tree to become a perfect tree. And what is a perfect tree? How does that... There's no such thing as a perfect tree. There's trees, and trees all look about the same, but also look different. They have different, their branches go different. How does one make a perfect tree, or how does one make a perfect, because it is that tree that becomes well manicured, well perfect, and we can call it perfect if we want to put it that way, because it's in the order of things, because it's in the order of heaven. And so, friends, and that we should grow, and we should live, and we should move, and we should have our being in peace. And that, above all the things that Jesus could leave us upon the resurrection, Jesus could say to us upon the coming back into this world from death, of all the things he could say, the one thing he says is, I give you peace, and I leave with you peace. Because the heavens, in the resurrection, the heavens have been rightly ordered. Humanity has been rightly ordered. That the world has been rightly ordered. Now, is it completely ordered yet? No, of course not. That's where we come in. We get to be co-creators in this. We get to be co-participants in this. We get to build relationships in our lives that look a little more loving and a little more orderly. We get to build structures in our lives. We get to build institutions. We get to build doors. We get to build churches. We get to build our jobs and all the fabric of the world that we would build, that it might be at peace, that it might be rightly ordered. Well, my hope for you today is that you will have that peace in your life, that you will find that which God has placed in you, that is beyond anything you can touch, that is beyond anything that you can hold together, and that is, in fact, the presence of the resurrection in your life. Peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11.